What's up, guys? You are on the air and off the books with Beth Ann and Samantha, and today we are going to be talking about
A Place for Vanishing
by Anne Fraistat. And if you guys remember, we did read her debut novel, which was What We Harvest. I think that was a little bit ago, maybe
last year,
4 to 6 months ago.
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
Because time is an illusion.
Time is an illusion.
You know.
We'll be writing a song about that later.
Stay tuned.
So anyway, Anne and Delacorte Press were nice enough to send us an eARC, so we got to read this before a lot of people did. And I didn't read the back at all, like the description of the book.
I didn't either.
I didn't read it. I was just like, I'm going in blind.
Well, so we interviewed Anne a little while ago as well for the podcast. So if you want to check that out, you can go backwards and listen to that as well, which we were talking about What We Harvest. And during that time, she was talking about she was going to release soon this book, A Place for Vanishing.
Right.
And so she kind of gave us a synopsis over that interview about this book. And that's literally like all we got. And then they did a pre-order for personalized signed editions through a like a small like indie bookstore or something like that. One more chapter or something like that. And then we jumped on and ordered those, and we were waiting for those copies to come in, and then she sent us over eARCs, or what are they called, like eARC. How would I explain? How do I explain that? eARC.
eARC.
How do I explain that? Like, they're digital copies of advanced reader copies that are digital.
Yes.
I don't know how to. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining that, but we were able to have them downloaded and to be able to read them to review beforehand. And this book released yesterday.
Yes. Happy birthday.
Happy 1 day old for A Place for Vanishing.
Just a baby.
Just a little baby. And
it got a lot of really great reviews.
It did, yes. And this is something I think that if you really like haunted houses, and we're going to read the synopsis for you here in just a second, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know. Samantha usually is more prepared than I am. So if you really like haunted house stories with a flair for the supernatural, then this is going to be a really good book for you, because I know that a lot of the themes right now for haunted houses and different horror books are more like psychological horror lately.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of that. I really like the actual like monstery, supernaturally like vibes, kind of like that. So this is like an actual true like haunted house, haunted family situation, and it's got a really cool under narrative to it that deals with mental health, and I think that's also a really unique spin. It's very unlike anything I've ever read as far as horror is concerned. So let's get into the synopsis so you kind of know what we're talking about.
All right. Okay, so let's do it. Here we go. Beepity beep. The house was supposed to be a fresh start. That's what Libby's mom said. And after Libby's recent bipolar 3 diagnosis and the tragedy that preceded it, Libby knows she and her family need to find a new normal. But Libby's new home turns out to be anything but normal. Scores of bugs haunt its winding halls, towering stained glass windows featured strange insectile designs, and the garden teems with impossible blue roses. And then there are rumors. The locals, including the mysterious boy next door, tell stories about disappearances tied to the house, stretching back over a century to its first owners. Owners who supposedly hosted legendary mass seances on its grounds. Libby's mom refuses to hear anything that could derail their family's perfect new beginning, but Libby knows better. The house is keeping secrets from her, and something tells her that the key to unlocking them lies in the eerie, bug-shaped masks hidden throughout the property. We all wear masks to hide our imperfections, to make us stronger and braver, but if Libby keeps hers on for too long, she might just lose herself and everyone she loves. I think that was a pretty good, description. It really
It encases a lot.
Summarizes the entire book.
Yes. And it really gives you like a great overview of what you're really getting into. And technically this is young adult.
Yes.
And you can tell because the main characters are younger, they're in high school. I think the main character is like a junior in high school.
Yeah.
So what does that make her, like 17?
17.
Or something like that?
Yeah, 16, 17, one of those. And
I think this is a really good book for teens, especially nowadays when we're like more open and navigating different mental health issues and stuff like that they can read this book and then they can have discussions about, bullying in high school and like what that plays into your mental health, and also how families should have discussions and recognize, how their children are handling adolescence.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite part of this book, honestly.
Yeah. I really love that it shows how people react to people with like a mental illness, because I mean, you don't really know how you're going to react unless like somebody like you or another family member is diagnosed.
You're directly experiencing it.
But it's just interesting to see how people make it about themselves.
Yes, like the selfishness that comes from, somebody, like especially the main character, obviously, when we heard the synopsis, is diagnosed with bipolar 3, and then she has a sister and a mother in the situation.
Yeah.
And what I didn't anticipate going into it is that I was mad about it at first, I'm not going to lie, because it was so cringy the way that they treated her.
Yeah.
Because they were so fake with her about everything that she had been through. And I kept going back to Samantha like, I do not like how her mother's talking to her. I do not like how her sister is talking to her. And it's not, and it's not like entirely, like I understand like where they're coming from because they don't know how to process and stuff either. But like they're not going to therapy with her.
They were very much punishing her instead of helping her.
And they were doing it thinking that they were trying to help her.
Yeah.
And then when she did try to change and she did try to present these options that she thought that they wanted, then they got mad anyway.
Yeah.
And it was such a crazy time navigating this. And while you're navigating all of these like undercurrent, these huge, and they're not just undercurrents, like they're the undercurrents that like drag your feet down and drown you. Like that's the kind of stuff that she was talking about in this book. And while you're navigating this, the house is freaking haunted.
Yeah.
Like, not only is she possessed by this diagnosis that's taking over her life, she tries to start over brand new and tries to give herself this fresh step, and then all of a sudden, her physical world is also starting to be possessed by these other things. And how do you even handle that kind of reality when your own personal internal reality is also, haunted and clashing? And it's like a horror story in both ways. And it was, I mean, she did a really great job. I was really upset, as Samantha pointed out, that a lot of people are reviewing this book and having a lot of negative things to say about
the mental health aspect.
And we say, I think that you should do your research.
Yeah.
And think before you speak about things like that.
But you should also realize, like, even if that's not your experience, that doesn't mean that wasn't
the main character's experience in the book, or somebody's own personal experience with bipolar 3.
Right. Not everybody has the same experience
with their mental health issues that you do. And, I probably shouldn't share. Well, I don't know. I deal with anxiety and stuff like that. And I think people should talk more about the things that bother them, because I think that you'll realize that a lot of people have things that they deal with, and that you're not alone in that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of shown in this book as well, because the kind of love interest that comes up, which isn't a spoiler, he struggles with his own things that you start to unpack and see, and that she realizes that she's not the only one who has to navigate life and has to figure out how her bipolar 3 works, or even if she's plagued by some anxieties or some like big highs and big lows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The main love interest is too, and my anxiety and stuff like that isn't going to present itself the way that yours might.
Yeah.
Or it's not going to. I don't struggle the way you do. I don't have the same triggers as you do. And so it was just really upsetting that people were getting on there and knocking the book because of
Yeah,
They
and
said it wasn't a correct representation, which I think is false.
We did talk with the author, and she has like explained publicly that she also like experiences or has experience with bipolar 3 disorder herself.
Mm-hmm.
And so my thing is like these people reviewing, you don't know the author, like you don't know like
their circumstances,
yeah,
her personal life, why she writes what she writes.
Yeah, you have no idea like what experience she has with like bipolar 3. So how are you going to say... Or
any bipolar disorders in general. And you have... I just want to caution people when they go into reading books, and because I know that we can be hypercritical of some things as well because of our personal interests.
Yeah.
But regardless of whether we loved it or we didn't enjoy it as much, you know, there's a representation here that isn't seen in a whole lot of books.
Right, yeah. I don't think I've ever read a book with a main character with bipolar.
And it being so openly talked about.
Yeah.
And it being honest and real and raw. And I think that it goes so well with the horror of it because of the way that society and things like that approach that situation. And I respect that. And I
like
think
your
other people
own
should too.
Your own internal feelings of like somebody who has it that doesn't know like, is this real or is this something that's like stemming from my mental illness?
Exactly. And I think that she did a fantastic job with it. And I think that when you go into this book, you should go into it with the expectation to learn and then to walk away examining those things as well, because not only is it a horror book, and a really good horror book at that, it's showcasing something that we don't get to see or experience and that more people should talk about, I think. And so when, like I said, when you're reviewing things, it's okay to have your own personal opinions and stuff like that, but don't be ugly.
Yeah. And I don't think that if the author, like, if she didn't have experience with this, she wouldn't have made this a theme. Like,
right.
Like, half the theme is her struggling with her mental illness. So why, as an author, would you go into that, like, blind? Like, even after, like, you know, doing research.
But I think even if she did, there's got to be some kind of influential thing in her life, or there's tons and tons of experience and research along with that.
Right.
You know, a lot of people don't just go in and just say, I'm gonna blah, 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 and we're just gonna...
Not saying that there's not authors that just are, like, checking the boxes, like, their own boxes, you know? Like, oh, we gotta put a person with this in it, you know, just to, like, make people think, oh, I'm so, like... I'm just including everything, you know?
Exactly. But us talking with her, and also the representation she put in What We Harvest as well, because I think that was a little bit more subtle, but there are representation of certain mental health things that are addressed there as well.
Yeah.
You know, and being able to sit down and talk with her and have that awesome one-on-one experience, you know, prompts me to be like, grr, back up. Grr. Because, you know, bravo, this is wonderful. This is an accomplishment. And so I think that you guys should pick this up and read it with your teens if you have teens, or just read it for yourself.
Right.
Especially if you like horror. And I think it's also a really good jump into horror. Like I said with What We Harvest as well, like a zombie situation or a horror situation.
I hope that it doesn't get, like, backlash from, like, schools and stuff because of, like, the seance and that kind of aspect that it incorporates in.
You know what's honestly frustrating is that I don't think it's going to be that they would give backlash to. I think it would be the other aspect of the mental health illness that's addressed, which is so
or just
crazy.
All of the above, which is
right. And
crazy.
I think that if you're not paying attention to, like, different censorship and stuff like that that's going on, and what, you know, bills and laws are being passed, and, like, how libraries are affected, how your school libraries and things are affected, we're not here to give you our opinion. We just want you to go and check those things out for yourself, because it's a big part of our society. You know, banning books and things like that are a real issue, and you should be educated. These books should be readily accessible, because if people don't pick these up, what if a student comes by into the library, picks something like this up, and recognizes this? What if that helps them? What if that shows them? And then also, you know, what if I really like horror now, and it opens up this brand new window into reading that I never would have been able to have if I hadn't had access to these books.
Right.
So you should give this a try. I will say you should go in with some trigger warnings. There are, you know, mentions of suicide, mentions of also obviously mental health disorders, some possession, some obviously seances. If you don't like bugs, which that was a big thing for me, I didn't go into it anticipating bugs because, like I said, I didn't read the back of the book before I went in. I just went in kind of like head first into the book, and I have a huge bug phobia.
Yeah.
And so when it came up to, I think at one point somebody coughs up a cockroach and I about passed away.
She's on this. She's like, ugh.
Oh God, no! I was like, no, turn it off. And it's such like a, I mean, I hate it. So
it is literally crazy. It's crazy from like start to finish.
And she does a good job with pacing because she doesn't leave you scrambling. Like, you are in it to win it from the get-go, and it just keeps building up.
Right.
And she keeps adding on these little pieces of information, and you keep like gobbling up all this stuff trying to piece it together. And it's such a good book discussion one because time after time again I was going to Smith, okay, like, all right, so these, and I might get a little spoilery here, so just, cover your ears. So there's this many masks and these many people, and like there's, people are missing in this house, and people are just vanishing from living in this home, and this home's been vacant, and then all of a sudden they move back into this home, and they're ripping up the floor, and there are scenes of like bunnies ripping out throats of like animals, and like deers like eating flesh,
and
like,
the mom is just like,
oh, look how beautiful, and you're just like, whoa, okay, something is wrong.
She did a great job like with the description, because I definitely had like a really good mental picture like the entire time.
Gothic style, like macabre, like really like dark, like ornate home.
Yeah.
And like everywhere, like she paints this picture of like this beautiful like dark wallpaper full of blue roses, and like there's bugs like on the wallpaper, like in the themes, and like the stained glass windows throughout the house. And
I will say I would have walked into that house and been like, no. Moving out.
I know. I was like,
no,
I don't think I could. And especially like at one point, like the trash can in one of the scenes tips over, and then like all these beetles spill out of the trash can.
Oh no, one beetle bug and I'm out of there.
I was like, absolutely no.
And like, she's just like, the sister at one point, she's just like encased in bugs, and she's just sleeping.
And she's sleeping like, the
on
butterflies
the ceiling.
On the ceiling.
And it's fine.
And I'm like, well, no, And they're like crawling in the curtains and flying out at you. And there's centipedes and mosquitoes. I think there's one, I think this was like really creepy to me. One scene where it was like the mosquito stained glass, and it's got like a dead sheep, and the mosquitoes are like feasting off the blood of the person in the window and on the sheep. And you're just like, oh, and they're like the maggots in the fly stained glass window at the bottom of the stained glass window. Like okay, this would be so cool. Okay, Anne.
Listen.
If somebody made bookmarks of these windows,
that would be really
like the
cool.
see-through bookmarks.
Yeah.
Of each of these windows, like, and then or like made like pieces for your like bookshelf of all of the masks that represent the windows.
That would be cool.
Like, that would be flipping cool, dude.
Flipping cool.
Because the way that the masks like hook into the windows and stuff like that, like, you guys have to read this because it's so intricately put together, and like the way that the roses in the garden go along with everything, and how they impact the mother, and like it's like also the mother is like descending into madness, but we don't know if it's her own like mental health issues that are coming out, and her trauma that she's experienced because she's lost her parents to this house, and we don't know why, because like all of this trauma has been repressed. And then she like is drinking this rose petal tea, and her mouth is stained blue,
and she's like,
I know, and she's like walking around laughing with blue stained teeth and blue stained lips from this like petal juice she's chugging, and it gives me the creepies. Like, every time she walks in the room, and her hair's like gets greasier and greasier every time you see her, and like she's not taking care of herself, and you see her like kind of withering away as a person in your mind.
It's giving like it's giving Pennywise meets like the creepy lady from The Shining that's just like creepy crying, like, as her husband's trying to, like, axe down the door, and she's just like,
it kind of is. But it talks about, too, how, she gets really gaunt and pale, and, like, how, like, her beautiful hair, like, curly hair is, like, mats down to...
I think that's who I pictured the entire time I was, like, reading the book, is the mom in The Shining. Just, like, the most, like, crazy looking, like, greasy, just, like, distraught looking mother.
Wide-eyed, like, disoriented, in and out of, like, consciousness, or, like...
Yeah.
Like, not consciousness, but, like, what's the word? Like, her mental, like... She's, like, there, but she's not
Awareness.
there. Yeah, like, she kind of flits in and out of who she really is and how it affects her daughters. And I'm like, oh, man, it's going to get bad. And it does.
I think
it gets bad.
I think the one thing that stood out that, like, I didn't like, and that, like, it was, like, the tiniest little thing that, like, kind of, like, was just, like, it was one of those things that I didn't want to read. Is when she tucked the mask in her waistband. I'm like, what? How? Like, what? You just got a giant little mask sticking in your pants? Like, you just stuck it in there?
I was wondering if the mask was a lot smaller that she describes it than in my head.
Right. Like, I was picturing, like, this, like, big, like, ornate
mask.
And, like,
is it just smaller?
Is it just, like, a plastic floppy, like, mask? Like, why is she putting it in her waistband? That would be not comfortable. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's not comfortable.
That would definitely hurt, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, now that you mention it.
Every time I read that she put it in her waistband, I was like, how?
She got the tidy shorts on.
She's got them volleyball shorts. They have stretch.
Yeah, there you go. That's how she did it. She's got elastic waistband.
Yeah, I guess.
Man, it also has romance in it. So if you really like a little bit of romance, it kind of encapsulates all of that. And I didn't mind it.
It's not heavy on the romance.
It wasn't heavy. It was just enough for me. So it's my kind of like, yeah, that's good. That's good. And I think the ending was... I liked that the ending was kind of realistic to me. Right. Like, they got hurt, and then they weren't, like, blanking okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, bad crap happens.
But then I'm like,
People
why are you staying in the house, ma'ams?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was kind of crazy.
We would be moving.
But, I get it. Because, like, she's, like, wanting this closure. Like, she's, like, stamping down the
closure. She can closure the door and walk out.
Samantha said, I'm not staying.
No, thank you.
She's, like, trying to build a new life and has overcome, like, so much in this house. So not only is it, like, it's just a reminder of this massive mountain she's overcome. Like, not just her mental health, but, like, literal, like, haunting.
Great. But, like, sell the house and just move across the street.
Move across the street. Oh, man, no.
You still get to look at it every day. It's fine.
This is what Samantha would do. I mean, I get it.
I'm out of there.
But it says they remodeled it, though. So, like, they probably took all of the remnants of, bloodthirsty, herbivores and...
Yeah. All the creepy stained glass windows.
And I think the attic moment, and I'm not going to spoil this for you guys, the attic moment where they're, like, just poking around up there and, like, things are rustling around. Yeah. And when you really realize, like, what's happening with all of that, I about passed away. I was like, dude, all you had to do was rip off a sheet and that was it.
Yeah.
Like, you're done.
Yeah.
Dude, so good. Like, I have so many different highlights on this. Like, so many different comments. Like, there's so many more things that we could talk about. It was a fantastic job. We say bravo. Snaps.
Snaps. Thank you, Anne.
Great job. We don't want to spoil this for you because it just came out yesterday.
Yeah.
So pick this up. Read it. Give it a shot. I think you'll really, really like it. If you liked What We Harvest and the tone of that, because it is she has a darker tone.
Yeah.
But it's enjoyable. And you're invested in the characters. If you like character development, if you really are invested in the characters as well as the story, I think you'll really like this. If you care about the people you read about, this is the book for you. And it makes you think critically besides there being a haunted house situation in it.
Yeah. And we already actually have the physical copy. We somehow got it like 3 days early.
We did, which I don't know how that works, but...
Yeah.
You know.
So we got it before everybody else, I guess. I don't know.
You can grab it however, whenever, whatever.
Yes.
You know, we have it available to you. Come by, get it, or order yourself a copy. Support the author.
Yeah.
So do both. Read it here and then buy it.
Talk to us about it. Email us at offthebooks@khcpl.org, and then join us for our next episode, which will be releasing in next 2 weeks.
Yep, and we're going to be talking about some things that we're reading currently. Yep. And do you have something that you're talking about specifically you already know that you're going to talk about? Or are you going to switch it up?
I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet.
Yeah.
I will be talking about the third Crescent City book soon, though.
Oh, that's coming out soon, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
All the weapons of mass destruction. Get ready.
Yes. That's me.
Your book is coming out, and I'm behind.
Yep. So I'm very excited about that one. So, yes, join us for our next episodes, and we hope you guys have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.